Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. Before that night, people used to call us the perfect couple. Julia liked to hear that. She thrived on the attention, the photos, the matching smiles. We met 6 years earlier at a charity auction. She was confident, magnetic, already used to being noticed. I was quieter, the kind of man who preferred listening over speaking. She said my calm steadied her. I said her energy lit up a room. For a while, that was true. But over the years, her light started to burn hotter. Too hot. Every argument had an audience. Every dinner turned into a performance. I learned to stay quiet because it was safer than trying to win. Silence became the only language we both understood, though we used it for different reasons. Mine for peace, hers for power. That night, at her father's birthday gala, the same pattern played out again. The ballroom was full. 200 guests, cameras, champagne, and a string quartet playing something elegant. Julia looked flawless, gold dress catching every light. She loved nights like this. The glass in my hand barely rippled when she did it. One sharp crack, loud enough to cut through the violin music and laughter. 200 people froze mid-smile. Julia's palm had landed square across my face. I didn't move. I didn't even touch my cheek. The sting was nothing compared to the silence that followed. Every eye in the room locked on us. Donors, family, friends, strangers. Julia stood on the small stage beside me, breathing hard. "You think you can make a fool of me, Henry?" she hissed. Her voice cracked, not from regret but fury. No one said a word. Cameras clicked, flashes burst, the string quartet stopped mid-note. My wife, the perfect hostess, now stood trembling and red-faced, her anger echoing through a hall that had been full of polite laughter a minute ago. I didn't answer. I just straightened my jacket and stepped off the stage. Julia's voice chased me. "Don't you walk away from me." I didn't turn around. Behind me, whispers rose like static. Did she just hit him? Followed by the soft clatter of heels as Julia tried to follow. I pushed open the tall glass doors and walked into the cool night air. I reached my car, unlocked it, and sat inside for a moment. My reflection in the rearview mirror showed a faint red mark across my cheek. It didn't hurt anymore. It just looked distant, like it had happened to someone else. I started the engine. As I drove off, I could hear my phone buzzing inside my jacket. Calls, texts, maybe apologies. But I didn't look at it. Not yet. I drove with no direction at first. 2 hours later, I ended up near the coast, a small town with an old harbor I used to visit before I met Julia. The slap replayed in my head, not as pain, but as a simple fact, a line that couldn't be crossed back. Around midnight, my phone vibrated nonstop. I turned it over on the table. I wasn't ready to talk to anyone, not yet. By morning, the video was everywhere. Someone had recorded the whole thing, the toast, the slap, my silence. The clip spread fast. I saw it once, muted, on a small news site. The headline read, "Socialite Julia Harlan snaps at husband during gala." My face was frozen mid-turn, her hand still in the air. My cousin Robert texted, "It's all over the internet, man. Are you okay?" I didn't reply. There wasn't anything to say. I walked down to the beach. I breathed and let the noise of the ocean drown everything else out. The cameras, the whispers, the calls. That was the moment I decided. No explanations, no statements, no interviews. Let her talk. Let everyone talk. I was done adding sound to something that didn't deserve it. By the third morning, I couldn't avoid it anymore. Every news site, every social post. There she was. Julia, sitting in front of soft lighting, eyes red, voice trembling just enough to seem believable. "I made a mistake," she said to the camera. "Henry's been distant for a long time." I snapped. It wasn't who I am. The comment sections were split in half. Some defended her, saying stress makes people act out. Others called her spoiled, cruel. Not one of them actually knew us. They just knew the clip. That night, when I came from outside, I found a note slid under my door. Julia's handwriting. Small, controlled. "Please talk to me. I can explain." For a second, I wondered how she'd found me. Then I remembered. Our phones were still linked through a shared location app. I'd forgotten to turn it off after the gala. She hadn't needed detectives or guesses. I didn't reply. But around midnight, I heard her voice outside the door. "Henry, please." Just open it for a minute." Her knock was soft at first, then louder. "I know you're in there." I sat on the edge of the bed, motionless. She kept talking, words tumbling over one another. "It was the wine." "I didn't mean it." "You embarrassed me, but I—" Her voice cracked. Then silence. After a few minutes, footsteps faded. I didn't move until I heard her car start and drive away. The next morning, I transferred my savings to a separate account and closed the joint one. I made coffee and sat by the window. I hadn't spoken a full sentence since that night at the gala, and the strange part was, it didn't feel empty. It felt steady. Silence wasn't loneliness anymore. It was control. The morning the truth started to show, I wasn't even looking for it. I was scrolling through photos from the gala online, the ones the press had posted before everything fell apart. In one, Julia was laughing beside a man, Nathan Cole, one of her father's business partners. His hand rested lightly on her back. I'd seen him before, shaking hands at family dinners, always too comfortable around her. I almost kept scrolling until I noticed something. His silver watch. The same one I'd seen flash under the ballroom lights that night, when Julia stormed off stage with someone behind her. I hadn't paid attention then. Now I did. Out of curiosity, I searched Nathan's name. There he was, tagged in photos from an after-party the same evening, wearing the same suit, the same watch, and Julia right beside him, smiling like the slap never happened. I didn't confront her. I didn't post anything. I just saved the photos, the timestamps, and the headlines. I wasn't collecting revenge. I was collecting clarity. A week passed. I stayed quiet. Then Julia went live on social media, another apology, framed in her living room. She was talking about forgiveness, about two sides to every story. Behind her, on a shelf, was a framed photo that stopped me cold. It was Julia and Nathan, both in the same clothes from the gala, standing in the lobby of the Haven Hotel. That was when everything connected. The anger at the gala, the panic in her eyes, the sudden need to humiliate me. It wasn't about embarrassment. It was about guilt. She'd been caught too close to Nathan that night, maybe whispered about, maybe seen. And I was the easy target, the distraction. I closed the app and sat back. There was no need to prove anything yet. Let her keep talking. The truth always comes undone when people talk too much. That night, I stepped out onto the balcony. For the first time since the slap, I wasn't angry, just certain. The next week, Julia tried a new angle. She went on a podcast called Heartlines, sitting across from a sympathetic host who nodded at every word. "He grabbed my arm first," she said softly. "I was scared. I overreacted, and I regret it. I listened once, just once. Then I turned it off. The lie was smooth, practiced, but lies always need maintenance, and hers was already cracking. That evening, a message popped up on my phone. Fia, Julia's best friend. We hadn't spoken since the night of the gala. "Henry, I can't watch her keep doing this," she wrote. "You deserve to know what she's saying behind the scenes." She sent screenshots of messages between her and Julia. My wife had planned the story before the interview. "If people think he grabbed me, they'll understand. Everyone believes the woman. I'll cry on camera. They'll forgive me faster." I stared at the screen, the words cold and sharp. Fia sent one last text. "I'm sorry. She's not the same person anymore." The next morning, I met with Anthony Cho, an old colleague turned attorney. We sat across from each other in his quiet office. He looked over the screenshots, then at me. "Don't react online," he said. "Let her dig her own hole. When you speak, make it count. Do it once, with proof." That night, I got a call from Miguel, a technician who'd handled the event livestream. "Mr. Hart," he said, "I saw the mess on the news. I have something you should see." An hour later, he sent me the uncut footage, the entire segment from the gala, start to finish. No edits, no pauses. Julia's toast was right there. "To my husband, who prefers silence to fun. Let's see if he has anything to say tonight." Then the swing, the slap, the gasp. I watched it twice. Then I saved it, along with the screenshots and timestamps, into a single encrypted folder labeled Truth. I didn't feel triumphant, just calm. The kind that comes before the storm breaks the other way. 3 days later, I sent one email. No explanation, no caption, just a link. The recipients: Julia, her father, the charity board she chaired, and the producer of the podcast she just used to tell her story. The subject line said only full context. Then I shut my laptop and went for a walk. By noon, my phone started lighting up. Missed calls, messages from numbers I didn't know. I ignored them all. The truth didn't need me to defend it. It spoke in its own language: timestamps, uncut footage, raw facts. By evening, the damage was everywhere. The full video spread fast. Headlines flipped overnight. Leaked footage reveals full incident at gala. Julia Harlan's story questioned after unedited video surfaces. Commenters who once pitied her now turned on her. Sponsors withdrew from her charity. The board issued a statement suspending her until further notice. That night, Julia called me. Against my better judgment, I answered. Her voice shook. "You destroyed me, Henry." I stayed quiet. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" Finally, I said, "You did that yourself." "I was scared," she said. "Everyone expected me to be perfect." I just snapped. "You hit me in front of 200 people," I replied evenly. "Then you lied to thousands more." There was a long pause, only her breathing through the line. "Can we fix it?" she whispered. "No," I said. "Some things don't get fixed." I ended the call. The next morning, I packed and drove north. No destination, just distance. Behind me, the headlines kept multiplying. Ahead of me, there was nothing but open road. 2 weeks after I got back, an envelope arrived. No return address, just my name written in Julia's familiar cursive. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won. Inside was a single note. "You made your point. I've lost everything. Please let me see you once more. Not to fight, to say goodbye." I left it on the table for days. Then one night, I heard tires on gravel. A soft knock followed. When I opened the door, Julia stood there, soaked, her coat clinging to her shoulders. She looked smaller somehow, her hair a mess, eyes red but clear. "Henry," she said quietly, "please just hear me out." I didn't answer. She took a step forward, trembling. "I don't care about the video, the press, any of it. I just want you to understand. I made a terrible mistake." I leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "Which one?" Her voice cracked. "Nathan, I was seeing him. It started before the gala. I thought if I ended things quietly, no one would know. But when people started whispering, I panicked. I thought humiliating you would shift the attention." The words landed flat, like stones in water. She reached for my arm. "Please, Henry. I still love you. We can start over somewhere else. I'll delete everything, disappear if I have to." I stepped back. "You already disappeared, Julia. The night you hit me." Her face broke. She sank to her knees, sobbing into her hands. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Finally, she stood, wiped her face, and said softly, "I'll sign the divorce papers. I'll take care of it." She turned and walked away, leaving a small box. When I opened it later, her wedding ring was inside, resting on a folded note. "I understand now." I didn't reply. Some endings don't need words. Months passed before I realized how quiet my life had become. No calls, no questions, no noise. The divorce went through smoothly. The lawyer sent me papers, and I signed them without reading the fine print. Julia didn't contest anything. We were done, officially and permanently. I moved farther down the coast to a small town where no one recognized my name. The mornings were simple. Finally, a smaller headline appeared months later. "Julia Harlan leaves city, sells apartment, steps away from public life." That was the last I ever saw of her name. One evening, just as the sun was falling, I opened my laptop to check a few work emails. There it was, an address I didn't recognize, no subject line. I clicked it open. "Thank you for teaching me what silence means." I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. I thought of the man standing under the ballroom lights months ago, the one who said nothing while 200 people stared. That version of me had died when I walked out of that hall. The one who lived now didn't owe anyone an explanation. Some stories end with words. Ours ended with quiet. And for the first time in years, I understood what peace actually sounded like. Thank you for watching.